Hello Team FD and welcome back to our top 10s, where today we're looking at the 10 most influential sporting directors in football. Let's go. 10. Michael Emeralo. It's often easier to tell how good a sporting director is once they leave the club, and Chelsea's muddled transfer policy since the departure of Michael Emeralo in 2017 is a testament to the Nigerian's smarts. Having represented his country 14 times at international level, he joined the Blues' backroom staff in 2007 as an opposition scout and became sporting director in 2011. That meant taking charge of Chelsea's enormous global scouting network, and under Emeralo, the club developed a scheme of buying young talent on the cheap and selling at a huge profit. The Stamford Bridge loan army bought stars like Salah, De Bruyne, Lukaku and Courtois through the door, and while all have since left, it was usually the interference of managers which saw them sold, in the case of those four players, at a profit of €64 million. Differences with club director Marina Granovskaya led to Emeralo's resignation, with their manager Antonio Conte calling it a big loss. But 3 weeks later, Monaco snapped him up, and while the team have struggled since hiring him, signings like Golovin, Henriks, Granser and Goebbels suggest that if the Principality side can beat relegation, they could have the makings of another great side in 5 years' time. 9. Beppe Marotta. Perhaps a different model of sporting director to the rest of the people on our list, Beppe Marotta has moved further away from player recruitment in recent years at Juventus before leaving the Bianconeri for Inter in 2018. However, he still gets credit for the old lady's tremendous work in the market, having appointed Fabio Paratici in the role of head of recruitment while in Turin. The men first worked together at Sampdoria, where Marotta took over in 2004, with the club having just finished 10th. 6 years later, Samp were regulars in the top third of the table, and in 2009-10, they finally made the Champions League places, attracting the interest of Juve, who had finished 12 points in 3 spots lower in 7th. That was Juve's worst finish after their return to Serie A following Calciopoli, and though they ended up in the same spot the following season, while Samp got relegated, Marotta radically reshaped the squad, buying 14 and selling 11 players in his first 12 months in the job. His appointments of Antonio Conte and Max Allegri, both controversial picks at the time, brought all the new talent together, and Juve have won every Scudetto since 2011, reaching 2 UCL finals, and in 2015 doing it with a midfield consisting of Pirlo, who was a free transfer, Pogba, who was a free transfer, Marquisio, who was an academy product, and Vidal, who cost just €10.5 million from Bayer Leverkusen. With revenue climbing from €150 million to over €400 million under his stewardship, Marotta has broke records while keeping Juve profitable, making them a super club once again. Only time will tell if he can do the same for Inter Milan. 8. Paul Mitchell. The leading name in Manchester United's hunt for a sporting director, Manchester-born Paul Mitchell is currently excelling in a different role as head of recruitment and development at RB Leipzig. The 37-year-old began his career in football playing for Wigan and MK Dons, but has now spent a decade working off the pitch, first as a scout and then as an analyst for Southampton, taking the role when he was just 30. Dusan Tadic and Sadio Mane are reportedly among his recommendations for the Saints, and his strong relationship with Maurizio Pochettino led Spurs to bring in Mitchell too, after they poached the Argentinian manager from St Mary's. Once again, Mitchell demonstrated an eagle eye for talent, this time snapping up Alderweireld and Dele Alli in just 2 years at the club, before RB Leipzig, arguably the most forward-thinking side in Europe, made him an offer he couldn't refuse. Working under overall technical director Ralf Rangnick, Mitchell hasn't had to appoint managers, often a key responsibility of a director of football. But he has helped turn Leipzig into guaranteed challengers for Champions League spots, while developing some of the most exciting young players on the continent. United would pose his greatest challenge yet, but everything suggests the Englishman could rise to it. 7. Florian Maurice. This one is a little more mysterious. Florian Maurice, Lyon's head of recruitment, is a shadowy figure, perhaps thanks to the larger-than-life character cut by club president Jean-Michel Aulas. But the Frenchman, who came through Lyon's academy and scored 50 goals for the club, as well as turning out for PSG, Marseille and the French national side, has been working behind the scenes at Olympique for 10 years, joining in 2009 after a brief career as a TV pundit. That was at the end of Lyon's run of 7 consecutive Ligue 1 titles, but the team has reinvented itself as one of the smartest in Europe, picking up stars of tomorrow before other clubs have even heard of them. Players like Houssem Aouar, Nabil Fekir and Alexandre Lacazette came through the youth ranks, but Maurice made a habit of finding undervalued squad members at bigger sides, with Bertrand Traoré, Memphis Depay and Mariano Diaz impressive recent signings, while Tanguy Ndombele, now valued at over €50 million, joined for just €8 million thanks to clever deals dealings with Amiens. Under Maurice's guidance, Lyon have put together the 4th youngest squad in Ligue 1, but remain challengers in the league and UCL spoilers, as well as turning a healthy profit on their transfer business. It's surely a matter of time until someone tries to tempt the club's real star away. 6. Andrea Berta. Reportedly another candidate for the Manchester United job, Atletico Madrid transfer chief Andrea Berta joined the club from Genoa in 2013. The Italian was originally a banker, but at 30 became sporting director of Minno's Carpandolo, later moving to Parma, and then on to the Rosso Blu in 2009, where he caught the eye of Peter Kenyon, a former Manchester United executive who was working for Atleti. Berta's spots include Antoine Griezmann and Jan Oblak, who he bought in for a combined €46 million, and in 2018 he also secured the signings of Tamar Lamar, Rodri and Gelson Martins, fighting off considerable competition from around the continent. But Berta's influence has grown behind transfers. As well as locking down Diego Godin and Griezmann with new contracts, he reportedly arbitrated a dispute between Atleti chief exec Miguel Angel Gil and Diego Simeone, preventing the coach from leaving the Rojiblancos in 2017. Having already rejected a job offer from Paris Saint-Germain, it will take something special to take Berta away from the Wanderer Metropolitano, but United have previously taken the club's chief scout, Gerardo Guzman, and can afford to make it extremely worthwhile for the 46-year-old. 5. Begiristain. Tiki Begiristain doesn't quite have the transfer record of some of the other men on our list. For every Sterling or De Bruyne, there's a Mangala or Wilfred Boney. However, the Spaniard joined Manchester City in 2012 and he did the single most valuable thing a sporting director can do. He got Pep Guardiola to come and manage the club. Begiristain played with Pep in Johan Cruyff's European Cup-winning dream team and had previously been an influential executive at Barcelona, where he played a part in giving Guardiola the head coach job in 2008. Acquisitions at the Camp Nou include Ronaldinho, Eto'o, Alves and Piqué, though, of course, he had the advantage of La Masia pumping out several of the world's best players all at once. But perhaps he deserves more credit for that than others, as, under Begiristain's eye, City have revamped their academy and have arguably produced better talent in the last 3 seasons than Barcelona have since he left, with Ronnie Lopez, Jadon Sancho and Phil Foden all catching the eye. A blank cheque helps, and Begiristain has spent an incredible $1.02 billion to bring City a pair of titles and a UCL semi, bringing in around $250,000 in sales over the last 6 years. But City are now undeniably the best side in the UK and perhaps the best in Europe, and if continental silverware arrives in the next few seasons, Begiristain will be the man whose quiet work made it all possible. 4. Michael Edwards. How times have changed for Michael Edwards. Once a member of the widely criticised transfer committee which was blamed for Brendan Rodgers' sacking, Edwards has more control than ever at Liverpool, becoming sporting director in 2016. Installed by stats-minded owners FSG, who had previously considered Louis van Gaal for the position, Edwards, who began as an analyst at Portsmouth, has taken Liverpool from 8th place and 52 points in 2011-12 to a UCL final in 2018. Not bad going. Strangely, Edwards got his big break under Harry Redknapp, not exactly noted as a forward thinker, following the manager from Pompey to Tottenham, where he led the analytics department. There he collaborated with Damien Comolli, the director of football at the time, and when Comolli moved to Anfield in 2011, he took Edwards with him, charging the Englishman with the task of overhauling the academy and training facilities. But it's only since he became top dog for transfers that Edwards has really shown his class. As much of a fuss as people have made of Liverpool's spending in 2018, the club made more than they spent on transfers in both 16-17 and 17-18, bringing in more on Mamadou Sakho and Joe Allen than they spent on Firmino, compared to the €42 million they shelled out for Mo Salah. In fact, since Rodgers left, the Reds have spent more than €20 million on 8 players: Alisson, Keita, Fabinho, Van Dijk, Salah, Ox, Mane and Wijnaldum. Is there a single miss in there? If LFC break their title duck under Klopp, Edwards may be owed just as much credit as the big German. 3. Monchi. Perhaps the most high-profile sporting director in the world, Monchi, formerly of Sevilla and now of Roma, is simply an amazing talent spotter. The Spaniard was with the Andalusians for 17 years, having previously played for them as a goalkeeper, and in his time with the club, they went from having just 4 trophies in their history to 10, including an amazing 5 Europa Leagues. His hits are myriad. Sevilla paid €550,000 for Dani Alves, bought in Ivan Rakitic for €2.5 million, and made €50 million on Carlos Bacca, Gregors Krychowiak, and Jeffrey Kondogbia. The academy began to churn out quality prospects under his stewardship too. Players of Sevilla's level, like Alberto Moreno, Luis Alberto and Jesus Navas, and others good enough for anyone, like Sergio Ramos. Sevilla recruited brilliantly from France too, and essentially became the professional gamblers of world football, constantly rolling the dice, and more often than not, turning a profit. Roma poached him at last in 2017, and though he quickly earned criticism for selling Alisson and Nainggolan, Monchi did manage to make 100 million off the pair, which he reinvested in youngsters like Brian Cristante and Justin Kluivert. A savvy operator, signing Monchi for your club is like putting 200 million euros straight in the bank. 2. Michael Zorc. After Thomas Tuchel burned all his bridges at Borussia Dortmund, it looked like Michael Zorc was finally losing his touch. The director of football, who has been in the job since 1998, was a one-club man as a player, making nearly 600 appearances for Dortmund and winning 2 titles and a Champions League, scoring over 150 goals from midfield in the process. But the successive appointments of Bosch and Sturger looked like derailing a project 20 years in the making, until 2018, with Dortmund once again tearing up the Bundesliga under Lucien Favre. The continued success of the Schwarzgelben is all the more remarkable for the poor financial planning which hamstrung Zorc for years, with the West German outfit narrowly avoiding bankruptcy on 2 occasions and even having to borrow 2 million from arch rivals Bayern Munich so they could pay their players. But over time, Zorc revolutionised the academy and technical facilities, pioneering the use of technology like the Footballnaut and producing youngsters like Mario Götze and Marco Reus. Meanwhile, his eye for talent brought the club unknowns like Robert Lewandowski and Mats Hummels, and made the Westfalenstadion Europe's most attractive destination for teenagers on the rise, beating Liverpool and Bayern Munich to Ousmane Dembele in 2016. With 3 titles, 5 cups and a UCL final since he moved up to the boardroom, Zorc is undoubtedly among the world's best. 1. Ralf Rangnick. In 2015-16, Timo Werner scored 6 league goals as Stuttgart were relegated. 3 years later, the German is valued at over 100 million euros and has scored over 20 goals in the last 2 campaigns. That's just a small indication of the brilliance of Ralf Rangnick, the man who has headed sporting operations for Red Bull Salzburg and RB Leipzig since 2012. Formerly a manager and currently coaching Leipzig until the arrival of Julian Nagelsmann, Rangnick took Schalke to their first ever Champions League semi in 2011, and when the Red Bull owner approached him to take charge of his network of sister clubs, Rangnick reportedly spoke for 5 hours. He proved to be as talented in the boardroom as in the dugout, appointing a succession of excellent managers in Austria and Germany, including Roger Schmidt, Ralf Hasenhüttl and Marco Rose, and he even won promotion to the Bundesliga with Leipzig as their manager himself in 15-16. Rangnick's direction helped Salzburg and Leipzig build a tactical identity based on an attacking brand of high-pressing football, and an identity in recruitment too, with the German stating in 2015, "We're only interested in players between 17 and 23, and that ethos has brought players like Naby Keita, Dayot Upamecano and Emil Forsberg through the ranks." And with Nagelsmann lined up in the summer of 2019, Rangnick has future-proofed 2 clubs and once again underlined his credentials as modern football's greatest visionary.
So that was another one of our fantastic, riveting 10s. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go check out all our other channels, including FDFC, and don't forget to like and subscribe.